Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Black Ops 6. Today we have a metric ton of information to go over because Treyarch has revealed pretty much everything in regards to the Black Ops 6 multiplayer. We have a complete weapon list, which is something a lot of people have been waiting on. We have all the perks, we have all the field upgrades, the score streaks, basically everything. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump into it. And the big thing here is, I'm sure a lot of people are going to point this out, it doesn't sound like a lot. We're going to have 25 primary weapons at launch, along with 6 secondary weapons and then 2 melee weapons. When you hear 25 primaries, that doesn't really sound like a ton, but if you count the secondaries and compare them to the previous Black Ops titles, it's kind of in line in terms of the sheer amount of launch day content that we're going to be getting with this game. When it comes to the assault rifles, there are going to be 7 of them. Of course, we saw 3 of them during the beta. We had the XM4, the AK-74, as well as the AIM-85. Well, in addition to that, we now have the GPR-91, we have the Model L, we have the Goblin Mark II semi-automatic rifle, as well as the return of the AS-Val. When it comes to the submachine guns, the beta guns, of course, were the C9, the Jackal, which completely ruined the first weekend of the beta, and then, of course, the Tanto. Well, at the launch of the game, we're going to be getting the KSV, the PP919, I hate how they change the names of everything every single year, and then the Compact 92. There's only going to be 2 shotguns in the game. We have the Marine SP pump action that we saw during the beta, and then in addition to that, we have the ASG-89, which will be semi-automatic and kind of sort of looks like the old USAS-12 from Modern Warfare 3. When it comes to light machine guns, we have 3 in total. We have the XMG, and then on top of that, we have the PU-21, which, what a name, and then we finally have the GPMG-7. There are 4 marksman rifles in the game at launch. During the beta, we saw the SWAT, as well as the DM-10, but in addition to that, we now have the Zarkov 7.62 semi-automatic rifle, and then the AEK 973 burst fire rifle. There are only going to be 3 snipers in the game, but I think a lot of fans are happy with this one. We have the LW3A1 Frostline, what a freaking name that is, which looks really nice, and then of course we have the beta snipers in the form of the SVD, as well as the LR762. That does it for all the primaries in the game, and when it comes to the secondaries, we're going to have 4 pistols and 2 launchers, and then we have 2 different melee weapons, because with Black Ops 6, we're going to have a dedicated melee slot in our classes for both multiplayer and zombies. Presumably Warzone's going to be the same way. The melee weapons are going to be your standard combat knife, as well as an aluminum baseball bat, which I feel like a lot of people are just going to run around with that instead. And they also appear to have tried to improve the firing range this time around. Here's what it's going to look like, and apparently there will be options to make the targets move. You can put armor on them, take armor off like in previous years, and there's also going to be a damage indicator, apparently in the top left, which will show you exactly how much damage you're doing at a range, and there's also going to be a recoil target that spawns a metal plate 7 meters away from you, so you can test out recoil patterns without having to boot up a private match. It's not exactly what I would want out of a firing range in COD. I think games like COD Mobile and even XDefiant do firing ranges so much better than what we've seen in Call of Duty recently, but this is definitely an improvement. It's not a massive improvement, but it's definitely better than what we had before. And speaking of that, they went on to reiterate that once again, they are streamlining the attachments in Gunsmith this year, which I think is one of the best changes for me personally. I think this is something that not a lot of people are really talking about because it fundamentally makes the game better. Having 40 different foregrips to choose from was not fun. It was just annoying, and the terminology was almost intentionally confusing as well. The average player, without like really deep diving into this stuff, does not know what any of this stuff means. We have recoil recovery, we have recoil smoothness, recoil steadiness, recoil stabilization. Like, what do these things even mean? Back when you put a grip on, you had less recoil. That's what it did. It was simple. They decided to change that because they just wanted to go all gung fu on us essentially and just add so many attachments and weapon levels and all that. In Black Ops 6, they are going to simplify that entire process. Almost every attachment in the game is going to have an upside, and very rarely will there be a downside. The terminology has also been simplified, and in general, the new system sounds way better than what we had before, but Treyarch does want to reassure fans that they are not quote-unquote dumbing down the system because advanced stats are still going to be available. They just made it so the system is a lot more simple and easy to understand, which is a net win for everybody involved, at least according to me. I know some people really enjoyed the Gunsmith, but for me, when you have that many attachments and that many choices, you really didn't know, and you couldn't make a class with any confidence because you weren't sure exactly how good your loadout really was. In Black Ops 6, you can make a loadout and directly see the positives of it, and you can feel good about the decisions you made without having to immediately open up YouTube to see what JGod or Exclusive Ace recommend, which I won't lie was literally what I did during Modern Warfare 3. When I came back to the game, I saw the STG was there. I like World at War, I'm gonna level up the STG GG, and I went through and I unlocked all the attachments. I got Interstellar Camo, and then immediately I just looked up their videos to see what classes they recommended, because when you have hundreds and hundreds of choices to choose from, no choices feel good. You're always left wondering if you made a good setup or not, and in Black Ops 6, that will not be as much of an issue. Once we're done with our guns, of course, we have to make the rest of our class, and Treyarch today has also revealed everything else that is going to be coming to the game. There are going to be 21 perks, 3 combat specialties, which we saw during the beta, as well as 6 wildcards to choose from at launch. A lot of this stuff was available during the beta, but some of it wasn't, such as the Prepper wildcard, which is going to give you 2 field upgrades. So when it comes to the field upgrades, there are going to be 11 of them to choose from. We also have 9 different lethals and 8 different tacticals, and there are going to be 18 different score streaks at launch. And when it comes to the score streaks, again, we saw a bunch of them during the beta, but a bunch of extra things have been added, including the return of the AGR, which is similar to what we saw back during Black Ops 2, and the AC-130 is going to be called the Dreadnought, which also sounds pretty cool. I've been showing you throughout this entire video all the different things that were revealed today, and yeah, the launch day content does seem pretty good for Black Ops 6, and we are now officially 1 week away from the game launching, and as such, they've been giving us a bunch of these blog posts, a bunch of these intel drops. This was the newest one that just came out today. The final one, however, is going to be all about progression, so I'm really interested to see what that blog post is going to say, because they're going to be doing a deep dive into prestiging and rewards and like all the different challenges, 100%er and all that. You guys know me. That's what I cared the most about in COD anymore. With skill-based matchmaking, I hate to make every video about skill-based matchmaking, but with how that works, playing the game long-term can be really frustrating. What kind of like gets me around skill-based matchmaking and makes the game still enjoyable despite the algorithmic nonsense that is specifically designed to screw me over, what makes COD fun for me is the progression aspect of it. Doing my challenges, leveling up my guns, getting my weapon camos, going into zombies and trying to figure out D-Strike, doing all that stuff, right? That's how I have fun in COD anymore. I'm all about the progression and the grind within the game itself, and the next blog post, which presumably is going to be coming out in a few days, is going to be all about progression, and I'm really interested to see what Treyarch has in store for us. So ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much it for this video here today. There is a lot that they announced. I'll put links to the 2 separate blog posts down there in the description if you guys want to go through and slowly read for yourself, maybe read every single perk, read every single field upgrade. Like, of course, I could have done that in this video, but we don't need to do that. We don't really need a 40-minute video of me just reading a blog post, do we? But I did want to give you guys kind of a rundown of the launch weapons, the launch content, what we're going to be having in the game, and then comparing that to the previous installments in the Black Ops franchise. At first, when I heard 25 primary weapons, I'm like, that doesn't sound like a lot, but in comparison to previous titles, it's actually quite in line. And also, with a limited number of weapons at launch, that means that the Dark Matter grind is going to be a lot simpler this year, along with the fact that we no longer have to level up our guns to start working on camos. If you guys didn't hear about this, it is true. They have confirmed it. You're going to be able to go for camo challenges right from weapon level 1. No longer will you have to max the levels out on a weapon to then start doing challenges. You can start doing challenges right from your very first game. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to play out. And hopefully they have a number of post-launch weapons ready for us with Season 1, Season 1 Reloaded, and all that stuff, right? Honestly, when it comes to how much you can grind the game and all the different stuff that's available, I almost prefer less weapons at launch, because that makes Dark Matter a bit simpler and a bit easier to grind, and then having more weapons post-launch, because that makes every single update feel more impactful. If we get an update for Season 1 and they're like, yo, here's a new submachine gun and a pistol, it's like, well, that doesn't feel very good, does it? But if they give us a new assault rifle, a new submachine gun, a new sniper, and a new pistol, well, suddenly that update's pretty freaking huge and it feels really good, right? So I almost prefer that system as compared to having everything front-loaded into the game at launch, because it's not like you're ever going to get bored of all the weapons at launch before Season 1. There's still so many of them to grind through, and then when the new stuff starts coming out, you feel more ready for it because you had less to work with at the very beginning. That's just my personal take on it. I'm curious to hear what you guys think, so let me know about that down there in the comments. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.